Good evening, hello. Welcome to today's Faces of Stromae live stream. This is a series of bi-weekly live streams in which we spend some time sketching together. And I have got some wonderful reference for us to draw from. We're going to draw 6 10-minute portraits and 2 20-minute portraits like we did 2 weeks ago. And this week it's all going to be Faces of Stromae. And I would love to know in the chat, or if you're watching this in the replay, let me know if you're familiar with Stromae and if you love Stromae. I just listened to Alors on Danse last week, Friday, for the first time, and since then I've almost listened to no other music. It's just been Stromae all the way through, and I really love it. Love the music, and I can't wait to chat a bit about it with you. If you would like to join in Zoom, I also have my Zoom room open. You can follow the link in the description. And it's similar to the YouTube experience, but we can actually talk to each other if you would like to hang out and chat. Or you can hang out and be silent and just watch on YouTube and draw along. That's totally cool. So there's going to be time portraits. You can use whatever medium you like. Hello, Pear, Astrid, 81 Tizzle, Frenchy Monkeyful, Monica. So nice to have you all here. And I can't wait to spend some time sketching together. Motif Music Studios. So nice to have you here. Yeah, it's great that you're finally catching a live, and we're going to be sketching a musician. Are you familiar with Stromae? I am very excited to be drawing this incredible artist with you today. So let's get into it. I have 8 references lined up for us, and after I've finished this, I'm going to be time-stamping each of the portraits. So if you feel like coming back to one particular portrait or jumping through to see what you'd like to draw, then feel free to do so. And a new thing that's happened since the last time we hung out here, this was a Stromae portrait I did last night. Maybe you saw my short and stories that I posted of it. A new thing that's happened is that I have become a YouTube partner. And if you enjoy this, I'd love a thumbs up. If you feel like buying me a coffee, or you could, I don't know how it works really, but there's like a little, you can say thanks, and you can, like, if you feel like it. I have this buy me a coffee account where the link is in the description, but now you can actually like do it right through the chat in YouTube, and I've never done this before. It's the first time that it's been like this, and if you feel so inclined, that'll be awesome. And if you just want to hang out and draw and say hello, that is also wonderful. It's just great having you here, and I can't wait to spend some time drawing together with you. So we have a really clear profile here. I'm just letting Zan into the Zoom room. It's a bit different. I've made it so that my live streams are now higher resolution, but that means I can't do the direct OBS virtual camera into Zoom. So you'll be, hi Zan, you'll be seeing, wait a minute, I'm just going to spotlight myself. And if you are joining via Zoom, if you could mute YouTube, that would be great. And yeah, I'll have to wait until someone else joins, and then you'll be able to see my desktop feed there. So that's cool. And if at any moment anyone wants to ask any questions or tell me, hey, I can't hear you, or hey, how about this, how about that, I'd love to hear from you in the chat, and it's often get very good, helpful feedback when things are not going quite right in the chat. So 10 minutes. I have a few different medium here, a few different things that I might be drawing with today, but I'm gonna start with this 8B pencil, first 10-minute portrait, starting now. Let's go for it. And anyone who's here in the chat, I would love you to let me know if you have a favorite Stromae song, how you were introduced to Stromae. It was it was like a suggested reel for me Friday last week. I was just like, oh, who's this? What am I being shown? And I knew that my 9-year-old, would really like it as well. So when he got home from school, I was like, oh, I heard some new music today. I think you'd like to hear it. And he does not speak French. Stromae sings in French, for those who don't know. And I think there's something really special about listening to music in a language that you don't understand. I understand a little French, but for Icon it was, I know the feeling myself of listening to music, and I don't know what is lyrically being conveyed, but you feel it, and it's like, it's so strong, it's so emotional, and the sounds, like, it's pretty awesome music. And I'm not content with this at the moment, but that's all right. Just loosening up, getting started. Stromae, Maestro, Stromae, is that right? 67. I'm happy for any lessons anyone chooses to give me. Stromae, yeah, Maestro, cut in half and turned around, right? Stromae, thank you. So Stromae is from Brussels. I lived in Brussels for a short time. I had a pretty amazing time there. I'm originally from Australia, but I was I kind of had my base in Brussels for a while, and I had some friends there, and when I would travel, I would keep coming back to visit them, and have really wonderful memories from my time in Brussels. The first hit song was Alors on danse. And it's so good. It's so cool. And it's amazing. Like, I listened to it, and then I wanted to watch the video with Icon, and was like, wow, it's really, really intense. Icon's 9 years old. And that was something that's really captivating. It's like the music is so danceable and so amazing, and I love that the lyrical content is so intense and thought-provoking, and I'm listening so much with my son. When I got to know what Papa Uti is about and watched the video, it was like, wow, it really, really hit me. It's intense, and it's like powerful and beautiful, and makes me want to cry and dance at the same time. So I've been really, really moved listening to all this music the past week. Interesting with the profile. It's like profiles are so minimal, and this is like a wonderfully minimal image. Just using some ink here, watered down ink. And if you get the profile right, it doesn't have to be right, but it's interesting because it's just such subtle measurements and differences within the drawing and the image to make it either look like that person or not. That's really, really fun to work with. So they're incredibly simple, and perhaps because of that also quite challenging. And it was just recently a few people that I heard saying that they think profiles are really difficult. Where's my jar of ink? I don't know. My ink is normally always sitting here waiting for me to dip into it. Here. So since discovering Stromae like a week ago. um, I've been listening to interviews, listening to music, finding out all sorts of stuff through interviews about him, and yeah, it was. Oh, when was it? Like, oops, 2006 would have been the time that I was living in Brussels, in Ixelles. And it was a pretty awesome time. I really enjoyed Brussels. Has anyone from the chat, is anyone here from Brussels, or have you been to Brussels? Belgium was my the first country I lived in when I came to Europe, and I lived in Tienen for a while, Tier-le-Mont, and then a dear friend offered me her apartment for a while. She was out of the country, and it was such a cool experience for me, living in such an interesting city. Eighty-one Tizzle, you're from the Netherlands, right? So I learnt Vlaams while I was living in Belgium, but my French was not very good. So I had a pretty rough time because I was like, had just broken up with my girlfriend and needed to earn some money so that I could travel, and was kind of like emotional, and what am I doing in this country on the side of the world? And all of the jobs that I applied for, they were like, oh, your French is not good enough. And so it's like, wow, what's going on? I've mentioned this phase in the portrait session I did of Maynard James Keenan, because I was listening to a lot of Tool at the time. But listening to Stromae's music and his interviews and stuff, it's just like brought all these memories of Brussels flooding back, and maybe want to learn French again. Motif Music Studios, a new musician. Yeah, I've linked to a couple of his videos in the description below. So if you wanna head back here sometime and have a look at those, they're pretty amazing. And that's a bit darker than I thought it would be. That's okay. Try and darken up the area around so there's still that. Oh yeah, that looks alright. It's still implied, that ear form there. And it's been cool just today. On my Instagram post, I've been getting a Stromae education in the comments section, which is cool. And if anyone's watching the recording and you're a Stromae fan, I'd love to know if you've ever seen his concert. The Multitude tour looked incredible. So the tour that I guess he's currently on, and last year was like a really like intense looking technological extravaganza. Okay. How's that? First sketch. Let's move on to the next one. Lydia, thank you. You would buy me a coffee, but can't figure out how to do it. Um, yeah, I could do something about how to send me money, a YouTube video. But there's a new thing I mentioned earlier, because I've just become a YouTube partner, because you have been hanging out watching my videos and live streaming with me. And there's now a feature where in the chat, I don't know, it depends if you've got like a payment system connected to Google, I guess, because YouTube is Google. But there's like a thing now, like there's like a little money sign, and you could buy me a coffee through the chat here. I think no one's ever done it yet. It's the first time it's been possible, but that might be a way to do it. Let's move along to our next image. And go, I might grab, do I have my pencils here? At the end of this, I will flip back through all of the sketches that I've done. The final two are going to be 20 minutes instead of 10. And I'm going to give away a sketch. So if you would like to win one of these, then you can just say in the chat that you would like to win and you might win. Let me have a look over here. Not too many people in Zoom today. That's fine. If you'd like to, you can head over there. You might need to tell me in the YouTube chat that you're there, and I can let you in. And I had some pencils I wanted to use here. I'm going to start with a colored pencil drawing and then see what happens. Maybe ink into it. I have some walnut ink with me as well, which has a really lovely brown tone. And we're going to start now. So, 10 minutes. Let's do it. So these short-haired photos are from, must be the earlier phase of Stromae's career. First two albums, and since then his hair has grown. So I have some photos with longer hair and some shorter. And I'm not sure exactly who took each one of these photos, but super thankful to everyone who has taken these photos. Awesome eyebrows. And I'm listening to Stromae right now, which is fun. I've been listening to Stromae doing everything the past week. Some cleaning and cooking and hanging out with the kids. Oh, it's daylight savings night. Kira just sent me a message. My wife is teaching a pre- and postnatal yoga teacher training in Braunschweig at the moment. I'm home alone with the kids, and she sent me a message, but just wrote and said that she just saw on Instagram that I'm doing a live stream. So, and just reminded me that it's daylight savings time. So that's interesting. What happens in daylight savings time? I'm sure it's not going to change the sleep rhythm of my children. Yeah, 81 Tizzle, you've been to Belgium a few times. Yeah. Oh, it was such a cool phase of my life. got around Belgium a lot and spent time in the Netherlands. It was cool. I'll just have a look over here to welcome Rosa to Zoom. Hello, Rosa. I will just spotlight what's going on my screen so you can see that. Is anyone here for the first time? If you're not familiar with this format, it's basically we hang out and it's an opportunity to practice together. So it's not so much a guided tutorial, but learning by doing. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have. So feel free to ask in the chat. And we just hang out, sketching together. And I'm most active on Instagram. If you tag me there, or if you're making shorts on YouTube, you can also mention me in your shorts, and I'd love to see your work. So you can tag me and use the hashtag drawingwithdylan. I recently did, just over a week ago, did a real world job where I did like 15-minute sketches of 7 people from a business, and I use walnut ink. I've got my walnut ink over here, and it was super fun. It was cool hanging out face to face with the people that I was sketching. We didn't really get to talk so much because they were also working at the same time. But it was really cool. So I feel like might need a bit more. Could do with a bit more time for this one, but that's part of the challenge and part of the fun with these short poses. To work within a time constraint and see what's possible. And often when I've done a whole bunch of these 10-minute portraits. Was it last month? Yeah. Did a 10-minute portrait live stream a day, and really pushed my process working with pencil and ink, which led to the job that I had last week, which was cool. Hey Greece, Zoom is open. Yeah, oh, there you are. Welcome. Hi Greece. Zoom is a bit quieter today, but it is open. Anyone who wants to get into Zoom, you're welcome. And if you want to chat, tell me what's going on in your world. What's up, Greece? I'm good. How are you? Thank you. This is the beginning of me speaking to the voices in my head. Yeah, thank you for being the voice in my head. If anyone else would like to be a voice in my head, you can follow the Zoom link in the description below, and we can have an actual chat with our voices, and it'd be cool. It is okay, isn't it? It's quiet, it's cozy. Chris, do you know Stromae? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ah, okay. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's funny because I was just like, oh yeah, what is this music? Discovering something new, and I was like, oh, over a million followers on Instagram. It's not some independent artist, or I don't know. Yeah, not really underground. um, and it's funny. I asked Shannon. I was like, do you sometimes feel like you've discovered someone new, and then you look them up on social media, and it's like, oh, they have multiple millions of followers. Oh, I do. I do. I watched it today. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, it was amazing. The making of Alors on Danse. That's such a cool video. Yeah. Oh, what's that guy's name? He was in Amelie. Mm. Yeah, that was such a fun video. And he's helping him compose the song. It's so cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's such cool music. Um, and just like this world of sound. There's so many cool sounds in there. It's really awesome. Okay, so as I kind of predicted, I feel like I need more time for this one, but that's it. That's 10 minutes. This could also be a starting point. If you feel like spending more time with any of these poses, feel free. Um, is there anything I can do in a few seconds to make this look more finished? Hi, Shannon. You set an alarm, but didn't start it. Okay. You, are you coming to Zoom? Caroline is coming to Zoom. Getting the party started. All right, we'll move on from this. This is way not finished. I feel like this one needs a lot more time, but I just gotta get into it. Just keep going. It'll work out. Um, all right, next pose. Next pose. Could you just move a little to the side and show us your your long hair? He's grown some hair. So this is was it like 7 years between albums, and he's got like 7 years worth of hair has grown. Um, so here comes Shannon. Cool, Shannon. I make you co-host, and you can let people in. I'm going to do it, and I hope that's okay. If not, we'll figure it out. Oh, Shannon is co-host. All right. Cool. Okay. Here we go. Next pose. So this is from the Multitude. There's a really cool. There's like the album art. There's like mirrors, and there's so many Stromaes. Super cool. So let's draw this one. 10 minutes starting now. I feel like maybe I need to, I don't know, loosen up a bit. I didn't get very far with the last one, so maybe I gotta try something different. I'm listening to Alors on Danse right now. It just came up in the playlist. that that was a good mouth trumpet. How you doing, Shannon? And you gonna vote for her? You gonna vote for her? Cool. Wasted her time. I hope it was a nice conversation. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting when it's like local election time and people get really social and they get out and they're like, yeah. Yeah, it was cool. Just listening to Alors on Danse right now. Um, yeah, it's cool having Zoom and having the live stream going. Um, Motif Music Studio, um, because it adds like a real conversation to the mix. Because I did a bunch of live streams where I'd just be like talking to the screen, trying to read questions, and sometimes not seeing them and stuff. And it's a much more fluid conversational feel when there's an actual conversation. So I love responding to people's comments and questions in the chat, but it's quite a juggling act to try and concentrate on the image that I'm drawing, and try and get questions and interact. So that's cool. I host weekly Zoom sessions, and it's the same link if anyone like to join on Tuesdays. And so it's a familiar. It's like we're sitting at our workspace together, hanging out and drawing. It's great fun. Yeah. So maybe we won't call it 17 because it's going to be a totally different format. But Shannon just mentioned that Thursday, which is drawn together, we sketched with and had a chat with Sina Ajovi on Thursday, which was awesome. And this coming Thursday is my birthday. So we're going to do a live stream Zoom session. I'm going to figure out how to put Zoom into my live stream setup. So you can come and sketch with us on Zoom like you would any Tuesday, but it's going to be Thursday. And it'll also be streamed to YouTube. So we hold poses for each other, we chat and laugh and tell stories. And that's what we're going to do this coming Thursday. So rather than a traditional drawn together episode, we're going to be doing Drawing with Dylan Zoom live stream style. So that'll be fun. And you can all come to my birthday party. That's going to be my birthday party, and you can join. And my sister's going to be here. Claire's getting here on Tuesday. Getting so close. All right, I like this drawing. This is, I feel like compared to the last one, I don't know. It feels like a bit of a... I feel like this is a stronger drawing than the last one was. What do I want to do with it now, though? Maybe do something completely different. Smudge some graphite into it instead of using ink. Because I still have graphite on my blending stump from drawing Sina. Who can speak French in the chat? Who watching this speaks French? I learnt some French at school, and then when I lived in Belgium, I heard French, but I couldn't speak it very well because I had concentrated on learning Dutch and Vlaams, and didn't really, Vlaams. It's Dutch, but the Flemish people say it's its own language. It's like I did learn it, and that helped me to learn German actually. Flemish, some people call it. Was ist fertig? Steak is steak, right? I can't remember. A lot of the Dutch that I learnt, because I haven't been using it much, it's kind of been overwritten with German, and it takes a bit of listening to it to get back into the Dutch mindset. No. I just mean like deleting files or replacing. So it's information which has been archived somewhere within my consciousness. Yeah. Well, the languages are quite similar, and so it's like a lot of it has been, yeah. I just need to reabsorb, to spend some time in Belgium or the Netherlands to get used to it again. Weird and cool. Excellent. How's everyone doing? Uta speaks French. Cool. I'm not going to be able to offer much in the way of French conversation, but I have been practicing some French on Duolingo. Lisa? Reza? Languagey. Yeah. How many? So how languagey are you, Greece? Some Italian, German, English? Yeah. Like I can say, je parle un petit peu français, and then if people respond in French, then they'll realize that was a lie. That's it. Sorry, that was my French. Cool. Ah, la fromage. Ah. All right, moving along to the next reference. No. Should we just keep drawing that one? Here we go. This one is joyful. Oh well. So this is a screenshot from a really cool performance, a Tiny Desk concert, which was this was the look that I saw the first time that I heard Stromae, and he performs five songs with his band, and it's so cool. And I've watched it a couple times, and it's just super fun. So this is a nice one to draw from. I think like the most joyful of the references that I collected. So let's start drawing. Nice, tricky open mouth, an exercise in simplification. Don't feel overwhelmed by the teeth and stuff. Just draw some shapes that kind of approximately look a bit like what you can see. If you start loose without much detail, then it may kind of look like a mouth. And you can come back and like add detail, but careful with the mouth and teeth. It was really interesting listening to Stromae's music with Icon, him not understanding the language, but totally picking up on the emotions. And I was just listening to it like, wow, this is so cool. And he was like, yeah, it's really good, but it's quite sad. And then I'd like find out what the lyrics mean, like, oh wow, yeah, you're right. And interesting the way he like pick up on the emotional vibe of the song without understanding it. I feel a little out of form after the daily 10-minute portraits. They were really flowing, and now I feel like I've got to get back into it. I did. I did draw Tuesdays and Thursday. Yeah. This so I haven't done no drawing, but I don't know. You know, sometimes you get that feeling where it's like, what's going on? And you think you can do it, and then you're like, why? What am I doing? But keep going. Yeah, 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 yeah. Maybe that's yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I, I was thinking before this. I was like, I've just spent the whole day inside. Holly has been unwell today, and then it was raining, um, and so just kind of been doing housework and being inside. And I was like, maybe Maybe I should have had a cold shower before I started drawing. But yeah, if you're noticing the first 5 lines, and you can just be like, oh, wait a minute. But it was really cool on Thursday talking with Sina, um, and it reminded me of this. I've spent so much time doing these short format portraits the past years. um, and it reminded me of a blog post I read on Muddy Colours that said often the difference between amateur work and professional work is the amount of time you spend on it. And I think it was Eric Fortune who had said that, like, gave an example of a painting, a piece that he did that he spent 100 hours working on. I was like, oh wow, that's just like, it almost feels like a different thing, like these quick time sketches and really doing like a long pose. Do you do much long stuff, Glees? Lots of sketching. Impatient, yeah, impatient, yeah, yeah. Mm. Mm-hmm. it fits. It fits together. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 The yeah the okay. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh wow. So there's an actual formula, and you can be like, this is how much it costs. Yeah. What you can ask for your work. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Um, and it was so interesting. Did you see the work of Sina, who we were sketching with on Thursday? Like, such amazing work. And I was just looking at it, I was like, wow, what is. And it was so interesting just hearing about her process and also the amount of time that goes into it. I mean, like, oh, there's. Um, to start to get an understanding of different kinds of process and different things that people do. Yeah, and it has been a really clear focus of mine the past few years to be like, okay, it's a mixture of things. Like I've got the kids, so I don't have lots of time to do things. Or I found when I was doing a longer portrait that the first, like I could sit there for hours and then after hours be like, oh, this is no good. And now it's that thing that in the first 5 lines can already be like, oh, this is no good. But I feel like from the stage I was at, so there's an interesting conversation happening in Zoom throughout this, because partway, about 3 minutes into this sketch, I was just like, oh, I'm not feeling real good about this. But then I managed to, I'm happy with it now. But yeah, it used to be that I could spend hours on something and then after hours be like, oh, I don't think this is not working out. And with all of the quick sketch practice, I reached that point much sooner where I'm like, I think I should start again. And then often just that starting again, it's just like refreshes the process and can reinvigorate the drawing, which is really interesting. And then if it's a commission and it's like, okay, I'm going to spend hours on this, then it's good to know within the first few minutes, does this look right or not? And then to be able to settle into that kind of meditative process of like doing something really technical and beautiful. Or you just like do something fast. And but yeah, I feel like it's really helped with longer pieces as well. That was fun. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, learning from mistakes. And I feel like, so the first one, just looking back here, this one I was kind of like, oh, what happened with that? So the first one, I felt pretty good with this. I was like, yeah, this is good. I don't know what happened. But then I did this one, I was like, oh. And I feel like I've got to, from that process of feeling really discontent after 10 minutes, it's like, okay, I've got to do it a bit different. And so it's like, okay, maybe different medium, maybe focus on the drawing in a different way. And I feel like the last 3 have definitely kind of built upon each other. So each time where it's like you get started, but then feel like, maybe I should stop. It's definitely, the potential is there to learn. So if you can take a moment to recognize what you're unhappy with, what you want to change, then you can incorporate that into the next one as you, I think there's the potential to just be like, this is not working, and then not learn from it, get frustrated, and then maybe you should go for a walk, and then maybe when you come back, you'll be able to be like, okay, why didn't that work out? But each failed attempt is definitely an opportunity to learn, okay, what did I do that didn't work out, and how can I roll with that in the next iteration? Definitely, that is, and I feel like it's a really valuable and important part of the process. Like having those moments where you're like, what's this? What don't I like about this? And if you change something, then you have the opportunity to feel better about it and maybe get a better result, for sure. Okay, this reference image is from the Papa Ute video. Lydia, you live in Quebec. Cool. Papa Ute, Papa Ute, Papa Ute, Ute. I mentioned earlier, this one really, especially when I watched the video, I had heard in an interview. Okay, let's start the timer, shall we? 10 minutes. Hi, Guru Nadon. So I watched an interview, which is like from 8 years ago, I think, and he was saying that the song was like about the absent father, and as he was talking about it, he was saying that maybe maybe who need to become a father to understand. But then watching the video and this idea of the absent father, so it's like a mannequin, a Schaufensterpuppe, like a fake version of himself, present but not really there. And yeah, and that was really, it just made such an impact on me, because I think I spend quite a lot of time with my kids, but the kind of ongoing challenge of like being really there for them, and what do they need, and how much do I need to focus on my own stuff, and how much of myself do I give to them. And so yeah, this song really had an impact on me, and Icon loves it. So we listen to it a lot together. Oh, that's quite light. Yeah, it is said that north-facing windows, if you're in the northern hemisphere, are preferable, I guess, because you have a more consistent lighting, that the sun doesn't really blast in and change so much. But I've had to improvise in different spaces, where sometimes I would like put something in the window to minimize, or sometimes just put a big canvas in the window so that it like filtered the light and wouldn't have as big a dramatic impact upon the light quality. Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. Oh, natural light is great. Important even for our well-being. Yeah, and it was interesting. Just I felt very much like my teenage self being interested in a musician. Um, am I drawing size to size? Yeah, I have my reference right next to the paper, so it's very similar. I'm kind of have that direct transition over to the paper, if that's what you meant by draw size to size. Um, um, yeah, so feeling like my teenage self, like learning all this stuff about a musician that I have suddenly become interested in. And so there was that break, like a 7-year break between albums, and in that time he also became a father, which is interesting. Before I even really understood the lyrics of Papa Uti, I understood it means like, Dad, where are you? But I just thought it was really interesting because I can't think of many songs about father-son relationships. And something which has been really interesting, like seeing the older interviews and concerts as well, that Stromae really seems to enjoy acting, and it's a really cool element that he brings to his performance, where he's really seems to be like in the role of the character, and And then when he finished the song and he just like become an artificial version of himself and just freeze up and smile. And yeah, there's a lot about his presence and performance, which is I feel like very engaging and super interesting. So right now I just wanted to go in with ink into this drawing, but I remembered how I was discontent with the other one when I inked into it. I thought maybe if I had some stronger line work that would carry the ink a bit more, that it would work out a bit better. So I just decided before I went in to the brush to add some more definition with the pencil. And see what happens now. Right now I'm listening to Feu de Joie. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. The music video for this song, I can't remember what it's called, but it's this, like at the military museum in Brussels, there's this huge archway, and I often walked there, and it's filmed and remade to look like a new place in a kind of an imaginary fantasy kind of nation, which is really interesting. But it was so cool seeing it and recognizing it in the music video. That's really dark. That's not what I wanted. I thought I'd just put some water on there, it'll be lighter. I think there's old ink in my brush, just sneaking out. Sneaky ink, yeah. I think I'm diluting the walnut ink on the brush, and it just like releases the black ink concealed up here within the whatever this thing's called. Furrow? What was it? Feral, like a feral cat. Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I feel like this has potential to keep working on it, and feels better than that one I did a couple of sketches ago. Like, it was a similar technique and approach, but I've learned something in the past few sketches. All right, next one. We're going to do one more 10-minute one. This has some wonderful, really clear shadow shapes, shadow light shapes. This, I feel comfortable with this kind of reference. So it'll be interesting to see how this one works out. Really high contrast is something I tend to gravitate to when I'm looking for reference, which I guess the others have perhaps been missing a bit, and makes it more challenging for me. And after this one, we're going to do two 20-minute poses. So have two fun ones to finish with. I think those are all fun references, but let's do our last 10-minute portrait, and then we'll follow on with 20s. So, Lydia, if you're still here, you live in Quebec. Where are you originally from? Speaker of 4 languages. Amazing. I like having really clear shadow shapes to draw. They make me feel safe. With this method of drawing, which is like just kind of puzzling shapes next to shapes, putting that shape next to that shape, and when you've got really clearly discernible shapes to draw, it makes the process, makes it easier to see and understand what I'm drawing. And I think the challenge with drawing from reference which does not have that high contrast, you still have a lot of shapes, and it's like learning to recognize and see in a more subtle, with a more complex value range, recognizing those and puzzling them together in the same way. But the higher the contrast, the clearer it is to perceive and understand the different shapes that you're looking at, potentially. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really, really great ears. Great shapes for drawing. I haven't mentioned it much so far today, but if you would like to win one of these sketches in the YouTube chat, the live chat, you can just say, I would like to win, and you might win. And once this is all finished, I will go through and see who said they would like to win, and someone will win. I'll send it to you wherever you are in the world with a postal address. The bird noise. I can't hear your birds. So you watched some Stromae videos today, Shannon? Yeah, Santé. Yeah, that's so nice. Eating the cake and dancing after the party. That's cool. Yeah, I linked to that video in the description of this one. I think to Papa Uti and Santé. Yeah, I love that, the music video for Santé. So nice. Oh. Are things warming up, getting spring-like in Indiana? Okay. Yeah, I guess. Stinks. I did hear that bird. It yep. I hear you birds. How's it wherever you are watching from YouTube? How are the seasons progressing? Yeah. Are you being blessed by the presence and song of birds? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The dawn chorus. Here we go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. So how do you have ideas for artistic bird photography? How are you going to mix it up? Mm-hmm. Yeah, 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 yeah. When they create their own composition and yeah, yeah. Cool. Yeah, that was such a cool photo. Good job of belonging together. All right, 10 minutes. This is fun. Bit of distortion in here, but that was such a cool one to work from. All right, in my playlist, Tous les mêmes has just started, so we will work from this. Such a cool video and such a cool song. This is going to be 20 minutes. And last time I did the 20-minute poses, I did like 10 plus 10, where I focused for 10 minutes on the drawing, and then I did 10 minutes of ink. So I think I'll perhaps do that again with this one. So I will, first I'll set the timer for 10 minutes. I'm going to do the drawing for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to start inking into it. I think something like that. And how's everyone doing over in the chat? How are your sketches going so far? It's interesting when you shift from, so it's been 10-minute poses, and now it's going to be 20 minutes for each drawing, 10 plus 10. And I find it's an interesting challenge to try and keep the loose approach to having a shorter time length, because I often feel like some of the more interesting things that happen as I'm drawing quickly, they happen because it's a shorter time frame. And then when I expand out into like, oh, now I've got more time, then sometimes the things can kind of slow down or get a bit tight. And so it's my personal challenge to try and keep that kind of dynamic feel to a longer pose as well. So let's do it. This one makes you want to put makeup on. Cool. He's so pretty, yeah. Oh, it's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. That was the place I meant that I've been there, and like I've walked through those arches, and yeah, it's a real place. It doesn't have it's been built upon with like computer graphics, post production. But when I saw that video, I was like, wow, because I've been there, and then like to see that thing, and it's such an amazing song, and that's another one where the lyrical content, and the whole concept of that video is amazing. Big art, yeah. Yeah. hmm Yeah, you can just maybe, the art of talking about art. Oh, that's been I feel like that's been really interesting, getting just in my 1 week experience of getting to know Stromae. Um, it's like, oh wow, okay, so this is like a pretty it's big art. Quite a well-known artist who I was unaware of in the past. But then there are all these things like the lyrical content, the like mental emotional struggle and the experience in the songs, and then seeing in the music videos places where I've walked and be like, it has a really incredible like taking it from this big amazing thing, which it is, and also making it very like personal and human. And I love that that feeling, the that it's something beautiful and big and something that so many people connect to, and it's also totally human and relatable, and yeah, and maybe that's in talking about art, to find that thing that it is something transcendental, but it's also accessible, and it's there for people to experience and be touched by. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, right? Like I've just like I said how his music makes me want to cry and dance, and it's so interesting that initial contact, not understanding the French, but like feeling it and like, oh wow, this is like just what's this? And then it's actually been through watching the YouTube videos where it's got like the English subtitles down the bottom, and like, oh wow, or hearing him in interviews talking about the songs, um, and it's been this interesting kind of layers of experience of like the initial contact and just hearing it in a sound way, and then like precognitive, but before understanding the story of it. It's really interesting having that experience of it. Motif Music Studio is a fellow Canadian. Cool. On the West Coast. Do, that's why I said sadly I don't speak French, because being from Canada, potentially you could, but sadly you don't. But I guess being over on the West Coast is pretty far away from Quebec. So just checking in with the time here, like having this is, I felt like normally I'd be like, okay, do I start doing ink now? But it's like, okay, I've still got 4 minutes. I can, like, I'm happy with the way the drawing is progressing at the moment, and I've also got time now to really get it ready for the next phase, whatever that may be. There's a cool video for this one. It's not the official music video for the song, um, but he's on a gondola in Venice, like and it's nice having a musical conversation with himself, and then also with the what's the person called who pushes a gondola through the water? A what? A gondolier. That's right. That's the word. Yeah. That's that's the way to say it. Instead of saying great minds think alike, great minds are floating on boats in Venice. That's a new way to say that. Um, I had not. Yeah. Um, I had not thought of the idea of a jinx for years. When two people say the same thing, does that exist in the German language? If people say the same thing at the same time, is there like a is there some kind of magic associated with it? Jinx. Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, is Montreal? Oh, Lydia, you're from Salzburg. um, is Montreal pretty much north of New York? Maybe someone, maybe someone knows. I I don't know. Maybe I don't know how to formulate my questions for Siri, but I have not found Siri to be very helpful when I've needed help. I ask, I'd be like, hey Siri, can you tell me this thing? And it's like, here is a web page of a slightly related thing to what you just said. I'm like, well, that's not what I asked. All right, that was the 10 minutes for the drawing. I like this drawing. I'm just going to grab a photo of this in between. I don't know where it's going to go from here. And then we'll spend another 20 minutes adding value to the drawing. So thank you. I was feeling a bit awkward about half an hour ago, feeling like what's going on? But settling into it. All right. I'm going to do ink or graphite. What should I do? Watercolor with my dirty ink brushes. maybe I might even have a clean brush around here somewhere. That is a real innovation. Watercolor's not my go-to, even though I've got it on the desk. Alors on danse. All right. Just spent a minute of my 10 getting my paint ready. All right, what's going on here? Salzburg. I just mentioned in the Tuesday sketch session that I hitchhiked from Salzburg to Göttingen in 2 hours. I'm pretty sure. Was that right? 260 kilometers an hour at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was fast. I was just thinking what you said. Did you say it sometime about like the things that we do that our parents don't know about? And but that was one. I don't know when I told Mum I was like, oh, I was hitchhiking and this guy was driving like 260 kilometers an hour. That's more than double the highest maximum speed limit in Australia. And it was just like flying across the Autobahn, flying on the road. Surely an exorbitant use of fuel. Yeah, it was really fast. But there were no other cars on the road that early in the morning, so it was like I just had faith in my driver's survival instinct, and it all worked out. How old was Tolling at the time? Okay. Yeah. It will be. I already said, oh Claire, don't bring too many gifts. I know you want to, but try and restrain yourself. And then she made a reel, and it's just like, my suitcase is full and I haven't put any clothes in it yet. Oh yeah, it's and it's gonna be the first time for Arvid and Holly to actually meet her in the flesh, so it's really extra exciting. And just before going to bed, and Arvid was like, how many sleeps? I was like, 3, and he's like, yeah. It's like going wild, so excited. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Just wondering which. Yeah. Birthday. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So if you have time on Thursday, come to my birthday party. It'll be live streamed on Zoom, on YouTube, but it will actually be the real deal. The actual goings on will be happening in Zoom, where you'll be able to get drawn. We'll be posing for each other, and it's the first time doing it as a live stream. So I've been doing it for over 3 years now, every Tuesday, and it's always been the private live only experience, but this is the first time it will be also accessible afterwards. And if people are a bit shy about joining, which is understandable, you'll be able to watch the live stream and be like, oh, that's what happens. And the Zoom sessions. And then maybe you'll feel like joining us some Tuesday, because it's such good practice and so much fun. So yes, and Claire and Nina will be here. So I don't know, maybe Claire will draw with us, and maybe she'll be sitting next to me. We shall see. Using my art supplies. I'm going to have to free some space on my desk. It's all come incredibly fast. Thanks for the nudge to use watercolor. Ah, I did. Come to the United States, did you say? That would be cool. How's everyone doing over on YouTube? What did the politician lady say? Yeah, it's cool, huh? I have not memorized the name, but there's depiction of like Shiva and Shakti as on the one side masculine, on the other side feminine in one body, and it's really cool. This reminds me of that too. All right, that was the second 10 minutes. No. Feel free to continue it later. I feel like I could keep going with this one as well, but it feels like a strong start. And I think a lot of these this timed sketch practice, it's yeah, like I mentioned earlier, if you're sometimes maybe you'll have longer for a portrait, but having a strong start, I feel like makes the further process of completing a portrait as well more enjoyable when you've got something really cool to work into. And if you can get it down quite fast, then you can kind of expand into it and get into the technique and the detail, and super fun. All right, so I can't believe we've only got one reference image left, which is this one. And this was on the cover of the Volkskrant, the People's Newspaper. I'm not sure if it was Belgium or the Netherlands, but I think I got Robin Dupuy is the photographer of this one. A really cool photo series, which is, can we see this? Like, he's the photographer. You can go have a look on Instagram, Robin Dupuy. And let's start. Same process as last time. I'm going to start with a 10-minute timer, and then continue with another 10 minutes. So 10 plus 10, again, 20-minute portrait. And I don't know if anyone's entered the giveaway yet, and I don't know how many people are still watching, but if you'd like to win one of these, I'm just having a look. If you say you want to win, you do? Zan wants to win. No one else has said so yet, so it might just be you. It's pretty quiet today, but the in Robin's post on Instagram for this image was also the stylist was mentioned, and it's just so cool. Stromae also has a fashion label, and the whole style and fashion aspect, the looks, is such an interesting part of the experience as well. Ha! Astrid has just entered the giveaway. All right. A 1 in 2 chance of winning at the moment. There's still a few people watching. If anyone wants to enter, feel free. It was last month when I did the sketch of Björk. I felt like I developed this new appreciation for stylists and all of the peripheral arts that contribute towards the final product of like a musical performance when it's done at that kind of scale, I guess. That there's like an entire ecosystem of creative people surrounding these superstars who contributing their creative vision towards the whole, which I think is a really interesting it's interesting to see that it's that the final performance, it's focused so much on the person that we're seeing, the star, but they are supported and created through the hands and the visions of many people. There's so many people contributing towards the final product that we get to hear or see. I have this tendency to stretch out as I'm drawing, and it happens again and again and again. And I don't know. It's something I could. Sometimes I just embrace it and end up with these distorted long portraits. But sometimes maybe I could catch it, change it. Does anyone drawing along have anything that they notice in their work, in your work, as you, like a compression or a tendency to do things other than they actually appear? Is there like a repeat pattern? I've heard from some people that there are these recurring things that people do sometimes, and sometimes it can just be a process of learning to recognize. It's like, oh, I almost always stretch out and compress the head. So how do I either lean into it, or if it's something I want to do less of, at what point do I kind of catch myself and guide the drawing in a different way? Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I've done it sometimes, but um, I don't do it so much. That's starting with a blob, like just getting a shape down. And it's interesting because I have a couple examples in my mind's eye that I really enjoyed, where I just like really quickly put down this blob and start working into it. And it turned out really, had a really fun result. So maybe it's something I can return to. Yeah, and it's cool. Oh, my pleasure. I'm glad to hear it. That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like that, putting yourself into a context, or if you're joining along here, just being like, okay, we've got this short amount of time, I've got to do this thing, and then you find these ways to something which may in the past have seemed like overwhelming or complex, or maybe I would have, a few years ago, I would have been like, okay, this is a 4-hour portrait, and then just to be like, okay, but how am I going to do it if I've only got 10 minutes? And just like pushing the experience into that time restraint is a really interesting way to learn how to handle different challenges and make clear decisions. Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad that to hear that that has been your experience with these sessions as well, Zan. That's cool. Yeah. Evolutionary pressure. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the quantity aspect, all of these time sketches, that just seeing so many different faces and having all these different but interrelated experiences of drawing each one, and how each one informs the process of the next one. Is I feel like it's really been valuable for my development. All right, that was the first 10 minutes. Here comes Claire. um, Claire will be in Salzburg next week, Lydia. Yeah, after we go to Neuschwanstein, we're going to hang out down there for a while. I'm just going to go into the next 10 minutes, the final 10 minutes. Let's add some value to this image. It's funny that the terminology, adding value. How can I add value to this experience for you? I was like, how can I add value to this line drawing? By putting some dark areas into it. Yeah, Claire's going to be traveling around a bit. Austria, Slovenia, Italy, France, right? Are there other places on your itinerary, Claire? What colour do I have here? Yeah, this was my kind of purple thing going on over here. Claire, the kids asked if you're already on the way. And I just mentioned just before going to bed, Arvid was like, how many nights until the aunties are here? And I'm like, 3 more sleeps. And he was just like, yeah, so excited. Germany's on the itinerary twice. Very good. Yeah. Be starting and ending with us. It's so cool. Yeah, Arvid was really like wild excited today. It's gonna be intense. Brace yourselves. What's on this brush? Oh yeah, this looks a bit warmer. Just woke up, Nina screaming 1 more sleep. Yeah, it's gonna be so cool having you here. So I'm trying to I could do some sessions just focusing on being more bold with color. Because I am quite restrained with my color process, and I've pushed myself a lot with ink, and it would be interesting to push the color process a bit as well, just to be able to expand my comfort zone. Because I guess that's it. It's like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not really as confident with it, and if it's just monochrome, I'll just go for it. But then when I'm trying to figure out color, and then I'm just like making up color, and I don't know what I'm doing, and the struggle is real. But it's also, it's like trying to push it into a 10-minute decision-making process rather than taking hours. So, but it's also, it's exactly that thing. It's like, it's just 10 minutes. If, you try and make some bold decisions, and it's kind of like, they don't work out, then it's okay. It's just been 10 minutes. Try again. But there's definitely some internal restraint mechanism. But it's great being able to try and push and practice these things together. Glees, who was here earlier, was a few weeks back, pointed out that my use of color is very restrained. Are people who are drawing along working in color? James Gurney, over a decade ago. Maybe I should read it again. I've got it. Color and Light by James Gurney. It's somehow the process of combining the fearless approach of other things that I've practiced a lot. Like ink was really scary when I started working with ink, and just made lots of big dark messes. But just did it so much that it got really comfortable, and it's a similar kind of like, what's going on? What am I doing when I'm trying to figure out color stuff? So I guess it comes through the experience of just practicing a lot to gain that confidence. Or another thing that I've done recently is to really build up a line drawing, and have the drawing, like the strength of the drawing, carry the restrained layer of paint, and it's like the drawing coming through, which is really what kind of gives it definition and strength. And I remember for such a long time that's been the thing. It's like when I'm trying to get more into the paint, doing the job of the drawing, that it's challenging. But then sometimes it's just like adding some lines. So that our time is up, but I'm just gonna add a bit of line work, add a bit more definition to wrap this up. And in that kind of subtle play and exploration of colour to come back with some stronger line work can kind of potentially kind of pull it back together. Because that's something I noticed with the often I'll have a drawing and I feel like, oh yeah, I feel like this drawing's pretty cool, and then you go through the painting process and it's like, what happened to that cool drawing? Why? It's like there's some quality to it which has been lost. And then I think I was actually watching a Nicolas Uribe video once where he was just like, oh, I really liked the drawing that was there, so I'm just going to draw back into the painting. And it was like, oh wow, you can do that. I just feel like, hey, to realize that whatever works for you, if there's something about the process that works for you, that you enjoy, that you can just do whatever works for you. If you find, if you start to discover what is it that you enjoy about the process, or if there's a particular quality to certain pieces that you do that you enjoy, perhaps more so than others, in a certain phase, because it can always also change. It's always growing and changing. But yeah, finding something to focus on, to make more pronounced in your practice. And at the same time, I used to rely so heavily on the line weight that everything was really samey, and like everything had a line, everything was kind of wrapped and held by a line. And I remember at a workshop I went to, someone was like, oh, if you could try some different line quality, like just a bit of variation amongst all of that could add something new. All right, but that's about it. It was worth staying up past your bedtime. I'm so glad to hear it, Monica. It was nice. I was happy to see your icon. What is it called? Profile picture pop up there. It was so nice having you in the live stream every day, or a lot of the days in February. So it was so nice to see you here again. Thank you for joining, everyone. As I mentioned earlier, if you would like to, you can buy me a coffee. There's a link in the description below. And there's a new thing, which I still don't really know how it works, but if you've ever paid with anything on Google, I think you may be able to do, like, hit the little money icon thing in the chat. And it's called Super Chat. And because I'm now a YouTube partner, there's a Super Chat option, which is kind of like buy me a coffee, but directly in the live stream. And if you don't have coffee money, I'm just super happy to have you here, and I really enjoy hanging out and drawing together and growing and discovering new things about our process and sharing information and passion and hanging out and looking at the beautiful face of Stromae so much. It's been really fun. And I really appreciate having you here for the journey. And I would love to see your work. So if you post anywhere on social media, I'm most active on Instagram. Oh, look at that, Claire. That's my first ever, what was that? Angry or nervous looking hippopotamus. Thank you, Claire, for that hippo. Buy me a coffee, because I'm going to be supplying you with coffee when you get here next week. What was I just about to say? If you're on Instagram, you can tag me at Dylan Sara. I've got here we go. There's my account name on Instagram. But I'm also here on YouTube, YouTube Shorts. I'm on TikTok, Dylan Sara Draws, and Facebook. which I use less, but I'm also there. So I would love to see your work. So if you've been drawing along, tag me, tag Stromae, who knows? Maybe Stromae will see it, or some Stromae fans. There are a lot of fan accounts where I've seen a lot of people are drawing Stromae. That was Stromae is the pronunciation, right? Yeah, so love to see your work and would love to have you join my birthday party on Thursday. We're going to be doing a Tuesday style Drawing with Dylan live stream. So there'll be Zoom. We'll be drawing each other. If you want to be drawn, if you don't want to, that's fine. You don't have to be. You can just join us and draw along. I'm going to come back over here a little bigger to say farewell and tell you about the exciting thing that's going to be happening on my birthday. And Claire's going to be here, so maybe Claire will be sitting next to me. I don't know. Claire, you will be here. So the way the Tuesday sessions work and the way the coming Thursday session will work is that we log into Zoom and you'll be able to see the Zoom screen here. So unless I can figure it out, you won't be seeing my workspace, but you will be seeing someone to draw. And we start with 30-second poses, and we do 5 of those, and then we do 5 1-minute poses, 5 2-minute poses, 5 4-minute poses, and then we do 6-minute poses. And it goes from one participant to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, and we give each other prompts. So it's going to be birthday party. So we can make it birthday party themed. And so you can bring a drink, bring a gift, and then we can just an example, be like, oh, I just got a gift, and I'll hold this pose. And for the allotted time frame, everyone will draw, and then it will go on to the next one. And it's super fun. If you've never been to the Tuesday sessions, that's what they're like. We draw each other, we give each other prompts, and it's just such a fun way to draw together. It's super cool. So you can either join in Zoom and potentially get drawn, or you come here to YouTube and you just watch the people who are getting drawn and you draw along. Either way, it's going to be super fun and would love to have you join us. So thank you to everyone on YouTube. Thank you for joining, and look forward to the next one. And thank you, Stromae, for all of your inspiring, beautiful music. And if you have not yet listened to this inspiring music, you can check out the links in the description below to go and to watch the videos for Santé and Papa Ute. Thank you so much for being here. You're all awesome, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, Anne.